cricketer who's ever played the game, the major factor in their improvement would be hard work and knowing themselves as people. It's a team game. It's a lot more fun than playing tennis on your own or badminton on your own. My parents were very hard taskmasters when it came to discipline and core values. I miss playing for Sri Lanka, of course.
Poetry in motion is never going to become a cricketing cliche as long as it is used to describe Kumar Sangakkara's batting. I've got the genius, the legend alongside me. Kumar, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
How's life been? How's it been to be still a journeyman, albeit outside international cricket?
Well, I think journeyman is a polite way. I think we are called mercenaries now in the modern
I wanted to stay away from that.
in modern cricket. But I miss playing for Sri Lanka, of course. But the time was right to walk away, and luckily for us, has been international cricketers. There are still so many other opportunities to go and ply your trade and still stay in touch and play this wonderful game. So I've really enjoyed it.
What do you miss the most about international cricket?
I think it's just the whole dressing room atmosphere, you know, the training that we do, you know, 15 guys in a squad representing your country, that we take a lot of pride in that. And also the games, the competitiveness, you know. I always say professional sports, when you put them in any competition and they kill each other basically to succeed. But at the same time, it was never about trying to outdo someone else or outdo each other. It was about everyone trying to lift each other's standards up and play for your country and hopefully win. So I miss all of that, of course. Everyone does. But you also have to kind of resign yourself to the fact that when your time's up, your time's up.
When you look back at the whole journey, you look back at what Kumar Sangakkara achieved as someone who proudly represented Sri Lanka. What is that one thing that you're the most proud of?
Well, I think there are lots of different things I can look at. You know, you have personal achievements, you have team wins. But I think at the end of the day, when you do walk away from the game, I think the yardstick that measures your success actually is about what you leave behind in terms of team culture. And I think, you know, I was very, very privileged to have been a part of a team, you know, since the 1996 World Cup and even before that, of great cricketers who've come and enhanced the game and then left something behind that inspired younger players to do better.
So let's rewind to the start. You were this studious, academic, top performer, head boy. Is nerd a good word to use?
I don't see. At school, when I was growing up, my parents were very liberal, very open, but very hard taskmasters when it came to discipline and core values. My father encouraged us to play every sport possible, eat every kind of food out there, so that, you know, we understand, we're not scared to try new experiences. Whereas my mother would ensure that we did our academic work well. So it was kind of this tussle between my parents when we were young, to kind of get us to focus on, you know, different facets of life. I don't think I was ever the studious type at school. I managed, I don't know how, actually. Both my parents were on the same page about making sure that, you know, yes, I did play sport, but ensure that I studied, because in Sri Lanka, probably very much like in India, degree is very, very important. Getting into university is very important. So, so it's kind of an interesting household, but it was a great. I mean, I was very lucky to have the parents I did and the siblings I did.
But then there were also there were too many things you were doing, and like you mentioned, you're doing it rather well. You were part of the school choir group. You used to play the violin,
which I'll never live down. Yeah, so my father. Those are things that, you know, for a kid, you know, I have two sisters and a brother. They were all sent to piano class, you know, and I was asked to play the violin and sing. I mean, give me a break. Why not a guitar? Why not a piano? You know, something that's a little bit sexy.
Violin was never really for the cool guys.
So even now, he's been with my children and his other grandchildren. But you are right, doing too many things. So it progressively got less. So I was playing about 5 sports when I was young, and then slowly had to drop one after the other. And the only reason why I settled only on cricket after I was about 16 was the fact that it was a team game. It's a lot more fun than playing tennis on your own or badminton on your own. So I picked cricket. I wasn't great at it at school. I was good, but not in the league of a Mahela or a Avishka Gunawardana or Tilan Samaravira.
Whenever I've traveled, I've heard great tales of school partnerships, school tournaments. I've seen some very, very old scorecards which people still hold very dear to themselves. How was it for you to begin? You mentioned there were others who were superstars, but when you climbed through the ranks?
Yeah, so I went to a rugby school, not a cricket school. So the dream of any schoolboy who went to Trinity was to play first 15 rugby for the school. Of course, over time, we've developed a fantastic school cricket system. It's been there for 100 years, I think. It's a fantastic system where people take a lot of pride in school cricket. They invest a lot of money in it, and we churn out quality schoolboy cricketers who then graduate into club levels. In the old days, there was a time when schoolboys straight from the school system could graduate into international cricket. Arjun Ranatunga and Aravinda De Silva are examples. So I was playing, and I was struggling through because I was in a club where Aravinda De Silva, Russell Arnold, Naveed Nawaz, Ravindra Pushpakumar, Hashan Tilakaratne. Right, and all these guys were there. So for us to get even a game, all these guys had to go on tour. And then in 1999, we had a horrendous World Cup where we were the defending champs, but we couldn't make it past the first round. And suddenly the selectors are like, okay, we've got to change everything. We need new blood. So they look around for young blood, and suddenly a lot of players got pushed through the system. And I was one of them who got fast-tracked into the A side. And I don't think I think I had an unfair advantage at that time because of my youth, because I was not good enough at all to be at that level. So it took me a while to kind of have that confidence to understand, okay, maybe I can do this. And it took me quite a long time into my international career to have that confidence. So I suddenly got selected into a Pakistan test squad. I was made reserve, and then suddenly Prasanna Jayawardene was selected ahead of me to play Test cricket. Rightfully so, he's probably the best keeper that I've seen in Sri Lanka against spin. So he gets selected, I'm in reserve. We had the Pakistan Test series, we had a triangular immediately after that, South Africa, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and then the South Africa Test series. So we're in this last test in this series in Kandy. Sanath Jayasuriya and Mahavan Athapattu, after winning the toss, they put on 300 or something for the first wicket. We get 400 or 500, we declare. Prasanna has put his gloves on to go out to field. It starts raining, it rains 3 days. There's no play. So Prasanna Jayawardene does not touch a ball. Tri-series, I get selected as a wicketkeeper.
How much of a role, against South Africa, you don't need to mention which I'm talking about, your relationship with Mahela, first off the field, and how much did that probably transpire to what you achieved together on the field?
Made a very strong impression on the dressing room with his attitude, his views, which are very progressive, very different to the hierarchical systems that were in place at that time. But we were the same age. So I played school cricket with him. That's one of the things you talk about international side, you call it bonding or gelling, you can call it. But you need to know, as players, as captains, you need to know each other very, very well, because we know when someone's attacking the other guy's role, and then it kind of changes. We up the tempo, then we play, and I think that really helped us with that partnership.
Was that ever with you and Mahela as well, that what we do now is a statement to the world?
I think it changed. I think 95, 96, 97, 98 was about making a statement to the world, saying that, listen, we won a World Cup and it's not by fluke. We are there because we have some of the best cricketers in the world and we can beat anyone. After 99, it changed because we were already a good team. So now it was about not just making a statement, but being consistent, being good both. See, in Sri Lanka, it's a very funny thing because winning at home is expected. I remember we did a first press conference in Bangladesh, having gone there, and we both said, well, this is our last, And the next day there's a big article in the Sri Lankan newspaper saying how dare these guys say that they're retiring. They have not informed the selectors, they have not informed the board, this is it. So, and then we had to take a photograph, pre-T20 tournament selfie with Arti Dubbas from the ICC, and we had to sign it. And then to do that same selfie again after winning. I think that was a fantastic moment for the two of us because it was our last tournament, our last chance to win, not a last chance to win a World Cup, but a last chance to win T20 World Cup.
11 double hundreds, that's one short of what Sir Don achieved. It's no easy feat. What was it like? Was there a different zone that you entered maybe after you'd reached the triple figure mark? How did you manage to do that?
Yeah, it's a strange thing. So Marvin used to score double hundreds, and when I first saw Marvin was the guy who was, you know, the leading double century scorer for Sri Lanka. Then I got my first one in 2001 or 2, I think, against Pakistan in the Asia Cup finals. I went in. It was a bit of a seamer when we won the toss and put Pakistan in, and we got them up for 260 or something like that. And I was keeping wicket at the time, so I'd gone in. I'm batting number 3. I'd just taken my keeping pads off and just started to put my pads on when the openers went out. First ball, I think Vakayunis bounced Marwan. He hooked it straight to fine leg out, so I had to quickly put my stuff and go in. It was a bit dishevelled and, you know, a bit here and there with my focus. But I went in, got through that first over from Vakayunis, got through a few overs from Shoaib from the other end, from Shoaib Akhtar, and then suddenly Sanat was going like at a strike rate of about 150 from the other end. So it helped me to kind of settle in. And then I got to 100 and I just kept batting. 150, 160, and then I remember, I think I got to my double 100 with a flick down the leg side for 4, and Mahela was on the other side, and I remember going up to Mahela and saying, is that a double 100? You know, kind of like, even I couldn't believe that I got a double 100. So, and then I got another one. And then suddenly, when I got to 3 figures, I kind of figured out, okay, listen, just without thinking too big, or just suddenly just bat. Don't look at the scoreboard, just keep batting. Bat for half an hour, 45 minutes. You look at the scoreboard, you're 140. Bat a bit more without, you know, putting too much pressure on yourself, kind of get to a 200, but just keep repeating the process.
So was that your modus operandi? Let's avoid the scoreboard.
Not all,
and give yourself some time.
Yeah, just, you know, once you get your 100, you're kind of on autopilot. But the key is to keep rotating that strike once you get to 100 and keep the tempo going nice and easy without trying to do too much or without trying to, you know, kind of stiffen up your game by thinking of 200. It came to a stage later on where I used to think, okay, if you bat 2 sessions, you're going to be close upon 100. If you bat 3, 3.5 to 4, you're going to get a double. So you suddenly, it changes from batting for runs to batting for timed, and you change it around depending on the situation of the game. And Mahela and I were great believers of batting for runs. Because that's going to be important in a win. So sometimes we bat for runs thinking purely of runs, but others will bat with time in mind so that we get the runs within that time as well. So it was an interesting thing where it kind of became like a rhythm. Get to 100, then you get the rest.
It's a beautiful day of cricket without a Kumar Sangakkara cover drive. But when did you first meet the cover drive? Was it love at first sight?
You know, it's a funny thing. So when I started playing cricket, I played at Trinity, and in Candid it used to rain a lot. It's always a little bit cooler. So we always had a lot of grass on the wicket. So when other schools were playing a lot of spin, I was playing a lot of pace and learned to play on the back foot. So getting a good stride in, driving the ball, having a solid defense, leaving the ball well was all things that we were taught. It's funny because we had a coach when we were young, Mr. Birdie Vijay Singh. He passed away a few months ago, and he was very, very prim and proper in everything that he did. Discipline was number 1. If you hit the ball in there, your batting turn was over. So I went through a time where all of us we were taught to play very correct cricket. And then I had another coach, Mr. Sunil Fernando, who I went to throughout my career and he was my reference point for all my batting. And he was a little more progressive in his thinking. So, so we used to practice we were told there were 2 kinds of drives. One is the check drive and one is the full swing drive. So we had to practice both. So it was an intentional thinking of, okay, check your shot there, you punch through the ball, the other one you finish with a flourish, bat over your shoulder. So I used to play a lot of these drives. You know, I would be thrown 300-400 balls every coaching session, just hitting drives, defending back. So this cover drive became a part of that because of this full swing drive. And being a lefty, and early on in my career, I rarely hit straight when I first started. I was hitting very straight. I could pull, I could cut, could play off my hips. Never hit through past the bowler. So whenever I saw width, I always remembered my full swing drive I forget the cover drive, we used to call it the full swing drive. So just put your foot through and don't get your leg too close to the ball, because then you don't have the freedom or the room to swing your back through. And of course, technically you're supposed to keep your back knee slightly flexed through the shot, so you don't hit it in there. So when you finish up, you finish with your leg there. But for the life of me, at practice I would be perfect on it. And then in a match when I played it, I always seem to just let this knee go down. And they tried to coach it out of me, and I did my best, because I understood the advantage of keeping your knee straight. But it just happens that my knee always bent. And then the more I played it, the more it bent. I got out a few times doing it, and everyone said, "Oh, that's because your knee is bent." I'm like, "I'm trying, I can't get rid of this." And then it slowly became a shot that I scored a lot of runs off, until I started playing very straight. But it's just became a part of my game. It became a shot that I used very often, and it's a shot that I then understood that if played well can get you a lot of runs. So it became what it was.
How did it feel when they call you the best wicketkeeper batsman to have played the game? Just let's go off that modesty for a few minutes while you answer this.
When people, it's nice to receive compliments, especially when you finish playing, when people come and say, I used to watch you. I hate it when they say I used to watch you growing up, and I'm like, geez, am I that old? No, but you feel you have a sense of satisfaction. It's good for your ego. It massages your ego and all of that. Yes. But it's nice to look back and know that on paper as well, that you can say that you've had a good career. But having said all of that, there were always trailblazers who paved the path for people like me. Adam Gilchrist, who suddenly changed the role of the wicketkeeper, without which I would never have played, because if you had stayed in the old way of thinking of having your best wicketkeeper play the game, and not expect the wicketkeeper to score runs, or if he did, no, it's okay. I might not have played, because I was not the best wicketkeeper. So that kind of the definition of the traditional roles, the definitions have changed now. So it opened doors for people like me. And then after a while, you understand that yes, there might be doors open for you or opening up for you, but to really make use of those opportunities, it's a lot about knowing yourself. It's a lot about hard work and sweat. There's no two ways about it. You ask any cricketer who's ever played the game, the major factor in their improvement would be hard work and knowing themselves as people. And the combination of that allows them to become who they are, because everyone's got talent in varying degrees. But to really allow the talent to flourish, you need those other factors. So I've been lucky that I've had great guidance in my career, great cricketers to play with, a great support structure in family and friends, and especially my wife, and my wife who I've known since I was 17. And how that relationship has enabled me to stay focused on playing the game the way it should be played. So I've had a lot of good luck, and I'm glad that I've used that in my cricket, to score the runs, to have the victories, but also the memories.
One final question. I said it at the start. I will bring out the form guide right at the end of the interview, because when this man was saying that he felt that he's probably the dinosaur or the white elephant in the room, he signed off the 2015 World Cup with another record. 400s in 4 matches. 400s in one edition of the World Cup itself is a great record, making it consecutive. Were you at some point, Sangha, telling yourself, let's play for a little longer? I mean, how could you say goodbye to the game with that form?
See, why those centuries didn't count in my decision was because I had made the decision long before. I had made the decision to walk away. I had a call from my father in 2013 saying, why are you still playing? You have played 13 years and that's enough, it's time to do something else. And I felt like, what's wrong with my father? Why is he...
Was it a call from the blue?
Yeah, he just called me one day, and usually he calls me and talks, technique and all of that with cricket. And this time he just said, maybe it's time to think of giving up and doing something else. So I was not very happy with the call, but I remember talking to my wife afterwards as well, and then actually it made a lot of sense after I thought about it for a while. I realized that I was very much near the end of my career. And it's time to really make plans about what I do after the game. When do I call it quits? Whether the time was right. And as I progressed to 2014 and 15, and I made the decision to retire. I got checking him, and I made a call to Graham Ford, and I still remember because I called him and said, "Fordy, I need a really honest answer from you." I said, I watched these young kids play, and I said, "Tell me honestly, do you still need me in this side? Because if these guys are playing this well, tell me, and I'm done, and it's time for me to go." And Fordy said, "No. I think this is the time that we need you. I need you to play all 3 formats going through the next 2 years. After that, you can decide once the World Cup's over." So he left. Fordy left after his first coaching stint, and then he called me and said, "What have you made a decision?" I said, "Yeah, I've made a decision. This is when I'm going to retire." And then he said, "Okay, if you are retiring, can you come and play a season or 2 for me at Surrey?" So I said, "Yeah, okay, I'd love to do that. I have enjoyed my county stints before." So I said, "Okay, that would be a nice way to kind of not go cold turkey, but slowly taper off." So I said, "Okay." So I did all of those arrangements, and then told the selectors that was going to be it. So the runs I scored in the last World Cup, because my mind was already made up, it was just kind of a signing off with a few runs.
Well, I think it's only fair that we sign off right next to a tennis court with the man who cricket almost first lost to tennis and then probably to courtroom battles. But we're just glad that you fought your case on a cricket ground, Kumar. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure.
An absolute pleasure.
Absolute
Hope
pleasure.
you enjoyed that. Until next time, keep riding.